Cheaters of Reddit, how did the work from home situation affected the affair you were having? One of my staff found out her husband was having an affair at the beginning of lockdown. While we were waiting for IT equipment, we had staff log on to the system using their own devices, and her husband had saved a hotel booking confirmation to the desktop of the laptop she hadn't used for a while. Idiot. So what happened next? It's not great. He was very sorry and didn't want to lose her, promising her the earth. And then the other woman started turning up at the house demanding to see him and wanting to tell her all sorts of tales about what they got up to and shouting at her for standing in the way of true love, etc. She took an overdose not long after and was in hospital for a bit, then moved in with her parents, and we think the other woman had moved in but don't know for certain. When offices were allowed to open again, our company decided they would only be for absolutely essential on-site work, so I had to negotiate with the director for her to be allowed to work in the office a couple times a week, as WFH full-time really wasn't good for her. I just want to say thank you for being an awesome boss and allowing her the time and flexibility to deal with that awful situation. A lot of bosses would not have given a shit. My ex-boss would be in that camp. So thank you and keep up the good work of caring about your employees. Holy shit, that's awful. I feel so sorry for her. May her ex-husband and his mistress step on Lego pieces barefoot for the rest of their days. That's a good curse. Last year Jaguar Land Rover had to shed 4,500 employees to reduce their mounting debts. They did this by offering a fat voluntary redundancy package. I mean, this thing was gold-plated. If you'd worked there for over 20 years you were being given almost £40,000 to walk away, and the guys within 10 years of retirement were going for it. Apart from one fella. See, he had a testing job at Millbrook, so 1 week he was in Warwick, and the next at Millbrook, and alternated every week. He'd been in that role since forever, and had a wife and kids in Warwick, and also had cultivated a long-term girlfriend and even had kids near Millbrook. Neither knew about the other, and he was telling both families that his away with work on the alternating weeks. The guy had kept this up for 15 years plus, and cannot imagine the deceit gymnastics his brain would have to do to keep the lies going. One day he said that he's not looking forward to retiring, as both women will obviously be expecting him to retire to them, his one family, so that was his deadline. So this VR package comes around and he has to decline a tax-free lump sum and the ability to retire early, because he cannot get out of this mess he's in. I left at this time, but he stayed, and must have thought he got a stay of execution, but from what colleagues have said is that when lockdown came into effect he got found out anyway, and is now being sued and divorced by both women as well as missing out all that lovely cash. I have no sympathy for him. Wow. I fully despise him for the lives he will end up ruining. But also, that's actually pretty incredible he was able to do that. I want to know so much more about his life. Did he travel? Which family did he take? Did he have 2 social media accounts? What about the kids' extracurricular activities on weekends? How did he afford 2 homes and 2 families? Who did he spend long weekends with? What a stressful life he must have lived. To reiterate though, he sucks. I got the impression he sucked as a partner, dad to both. Lot says he couldn't ''t/wouldn't do holidays, childcare when the partner was sick, was perceived as a miser with cash as he was supporting both households, kept refusing to marry the second woman, dealt with Christmases by intentionally having an argument so he could storms out for a couple of days, or saying he had critical testing work to do, despite him having to make out it's a low-paying job as he was spreading the money 2 ways, etc. I genuinely didn't envy him, as instead of having some best of both worlds type situation he was instead barely present in either, and must have lived in constant fear of the truth coming out, but not so fearful he wouldn't let slip stuff at work, hence us all knowing about it. I've come from a family wrecked by a cheating father, So I hate people like him, and if I'd have ever got an opportunity to tell his wife I would have done. He's wasted everyone's lives. I'm just imagining the extraordinary amounts of energy this shit pile put into this. Rather than having fun hobbies or wonderful vacations, he chose lies, deceit, stress, and ultimately a ruined lives. I hope the women and kids can find happiness somehow. Tragic really. I never have understood these guys with secret families. I'm exhausted with the one set I've got. 2 mortgages, 2 lawns to mow, 2 houses to maintain, 2 honey-do lists to keep up with, 2 sets of in-laws to deal with. Jacques Cousteau had a secret family, a girlfriend and child he kept in France while his first wife and kids lived with him on the Calypso. I've heard a few stories of people getting caught due to the fact that constant texting became real obvious. One case of someone getting caught for inviting people from a dating app over to the house while everyone else was out working. Personally, I have no idea how people find the time to have a job and 2 relationships. Just ridiculous. I have 1 job and 1 relationship. The admin for those is already ridiculous. I can't possibly remember another birthday, let alone remember secrets. For real though. I watched one of those cheating shows way back and I remember one dude that had like 10 girlfriends along with his wife. And he had a job too. Forget the sex for a second, how are you with all these women at the same damn time? How do you even keep them happy? How are you even awake right now? You just did a 10-hour shift before they caught you, I know you got to be tired. My ex-husband had a wife, obviously, a long-term girlfriend that was also a co-worker, and then several short-term girlfriends that would come and go. He found the time by having sex with his girlfriend at work, telling me he had to work and not going to work, and telling his long-term girlfriend that he was with me when he was with his short-term girlfriends. The only one that knew he was a cheater was his long-term girlfriend, and she apparently got very upset with him anytime he cheated on her with the short-term girlfriends. I found out about the whole thing when his long-term girlfriend confronted a short-term girlfriend and let it slip he was married too. So the short-term girlfriend contacted me to tell me what a piece of shit my husband was and to tell me she was sorry. I cannot fathom why someone would voluntarily sign up for all of that stress. That's a lot of shit to juggle. I work 9 hours out of a day. I sleep for 6-8. I have 5-7 of free time. If my wife doesn't get to at least spend 6 of those free hours in my presence, she starts complaining we don't spend enough time together. I genuinely don't understand where these bastards find the time. Right? I want to do the opposite of cheat. I want to sneak out and so I can go hang out with myself in secret.